Welcome to Queernecks, the podcast that puts the yeehaw in y'all means all. I'm your host, Beck.
And I am your host, Dash. Welcome to today's episode.
Dr. Nelson wants me to tell her on the 23rd my decision of whether I'm going to go forward with the program or not. And I've just been thinking a lot about it. I don't know yet. About 5 more days to figure it out.
It's the 23rd of this month.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk it out. What would stop you from saying, hell yeah, let's go?
I just don't know if I have it in me, man. It's a lot of work. And I don't think I'm academically where I was. Like, I think I've lost a step or 5. The theory part is going to kill me. I don't know enough.
You don't have to redo that shit, though, do you?
What do you mean? It has to be in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, but like for the dissertation, there's not a section where you go and here's all the theory I learned in coursework. It's only what you want to use. So if you still want to write about baseball as a microcosm for American cultural trends or something, you just use the theory that helps you explore that or make that case. So I used Kristeva and French feminist psychoanalytic theory. I used structuralism and semiotics, and the rest of it was secondary sources like other scholarship on monsters. So you would find your theory of whoever the big person is that you were going to use, and then just look at other things people had written about the same thing you're writing about. Because you wrote every semester, you wrote 80 pages.
At least. It would definitely be grounded in feminist theory with some critical race theory thrown in there, talking about intersectionality, all those things that go with it.
Something that might work really well for you is audience reception studies, because baseball is so mediated. They call it the national pastime because we literally all watch it.
But only half of us are allowed to play.
Yeah, right. And so the audience for something like what you're talking about could be a really impactful entry point, and to be able to identify like what women who watch baseball even think.
But wouldn't I have to go back through IRB for that?
No, audience, that's public data. That's Nielsen numbers and things.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever been a Nielsen family?
Yeah. And man, a recession hit them or something, because they used to send you 4 crisp dollar bills, and I got 2 last time.
Yeah. I got a $2 bill once.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking about $2 bills recently because somebody mentioned one on a podcast I was listening to, and my dad has a collection of them.
Yeah, my mom did too. She gave for Christmas one year, she gave us all $100 in $2 bills. It was one of our presents.
Wow. That's a lot of $2 bills. That's cool.
Well, they had access to the bingo. If so, when you were counting money at bingo, you would take any of the old money or $2 bills or interesting looking things and put them aside. There was a bucket you threw that shit in. And so mom had she was just a collector of things.
Mhm.
She had gold coins. She had all those kinds of things. She and I, like, one of the things at my lowest point that I sold or that I spent, she and I worked together through bingo and filled up one of those 50 US state quarter things.
Oh,
I spent the $12.50 or whatever it was one time because we were so broke, all my state quarters. That's one of the things I regret the most.
isn't that funny? You know, my dad's a pack rat. I come by it honestly. Man, I'm in this program right now, right? This therapy program. And there are a lot of moments where I'm just like, this is bleak and I know it's for the best, but like I'm really not having a good time. And then sometimes the most hilarious shit happens. And what's crazy about it is we all have to pretend like it didn't happen, because it's, like we're in group together. And I don't know who these folks are, because I live in the boonies of Minnesota. And so I had to go to one online. I've only been in it a few days now. And I'm starting to realize like this is kind of a janky program, though. This is TIMU, intensive outpatient therapy. Nice people or whatever, but I'm just sort of like, who made this resource? There's like, you can hire me as a copy editor if you would like. But in group, we do mindfulness every time. Have you ever done mindfulness?
No.
It can be guided meditation. And I think that it's probably like this larger pedagogy of mental wellness or something. I don't know. Don't have a ton of experience with it either, but it's like they play a video of guided meditation. It's somebody who talks to you. They talk you through like progressive relaxation and stuff.
Oh, I've done that a few times with on Spotify.
It's a grounding thing we do at the beginning of group therapy, but they don't make their own versions. They just load up a YouTube video of it. And I noticed it on the very first day, and I was like, okay, I mean, whatever works. But today it's all very serious, right? It's like 10 minutes sometimes of like this person speaking like, and now relax your eyebrows. and And then it talks about breathing and stuff. But at the very end, he goes, and now you notice that you are fully present in your body. And don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe. And all the cameras were off, but I just picture like the facilitator over there smashing her keyboard like, shut up. I was so glad my camera was off. Man, I needed that was a healing belly laugh.
That's hilarious.
I know the struggle. I've been got before trying to cut corners using stuff from YouTube as a facilitator. Like, whoa, shit.
Yeah. Not vetting the videos well enough. That's what I tell my students. For every video I show you, I've watched 5 videos. And you cut corners sometimes. You gotta skip through. I can't watch every 28-minute TED Talk.
Course prep is enough already. And
Yeah.
do you remember you asked me what my first mass media event I remembered was?
Yeah.
I have loved that question. So I've been asking people in real life if a natural segue comes up. But do you remember the first rated R movie you saw?
There was this movie called Humongous from the 80s. It was a B quality horror film about there was like some they were all on an island and this mysterious thing was killing them. My parents owned a video store. So I had access to some very random things and they left
Yeah.
that laying there one day and I popped it in and watched it and I was horrified.
What was so bad about it?
I don't so like or even it might have been even earlier, the first time I ever saw Nightmare on Elm Street. That movie freaked me out because the first one, he walks around going, Christine. And that was my mom's name.
And the way the sound design in that movie is so good. Like the very first Nightmare on Elm Street, they hadn't gone full camp yet, or they didn't realize how campy they were, maybe, and so they were still really going for that creep factor. And everything they did to the sound design in that was to make it sound or seem like you're trapped in a dream, right? It's meant to evoke that feeling of sleep paralysis.
See, I've been ruined on horror movies. My best friend for the last 20 some years has a son. And when I lived with them, he was, elementary school, middle school age, and he was really into horror. Like, and that I also took him to see the Lara Croft movie. It was me and like 47 other lesbian aunts in there with their nephews.
People talk about that being some misogynist thing, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but Dykes loved that too. Leave us alone.
Yes, we did. But he took me to see Silent Hill, and that movie ruined me forever on horror. That one, it was just too much. There's a scene where the monster reaches in and grabs the person by the chest and twists their skin off. And I was like, I'm done.
Was that Pyramid Head?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I saw it. I also saw Wrong Turn in a theater in West Virginia and had no idea what that movie was about because they get lost in West Virginia in that movie.
I love that movie, and I know that it's like problematic, inbred killer rednecks in the woods, hills have eyes, Toby Hooper type shit. But you can have my inbred redneck killers when you pry them from my cold dead hands. I don't know why, but I'm just so.
Have you ever seen that episode of Criminal Minds that's set in West Virginia where the baby that's an inbred baby that has been forgotten about and abandoned and he becomes a monster? It's pretty creepy.
No.
Yeah.
I thought I had seen every episode of Criminal Minds, although that is one of those that's one of those long haul things that went for seasons and seasons. I remember the episode of The X-Files was the first time I saw that on TV. It was an episode called Home. I think it was in the 3rd season. And it was, I think, aired with a content warning. When they syndicated the show later, they took that one out. They didn't air it anymore.
Oh, wow.
Did you see Deliverance?
No.
I hated that one. For some reason, it's not, I want them to be just straight up slashers and monsters, and Deliverance is about, I don't know, it's just different. I never thought to try to articulate the difference before, but I know that Deliverance is about sexual violence,
right?
But I think it's more than that. There's something different about, less interesting to me and a little more like offensive about the way Deliverance constructs its threat than just the unworldly supernatural version of killer rednecks that are in Wrong Turn or The Hills Have Eyes and stuff, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
Obviously we're not allowed to watch anything. Even if we had access to it, we wouldn't have been allowed to watch it. But we had a VCR, and Mom, they would get us Disney movies when they would come out every now and then. So the first movie we ever actually bought was The Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow.
And we could rent things, but They controlled that pretty rigidly, but things would come on network television sometimes, like, heavily edited for TV, so, like, a lot of the rated R movies I saw, they had that thing where, like, if somebody said a cuss word, they would dub it over, and it would be somebody else's voice from another part of the house saying, like, "Dang." But my dad would record them off of the TV with his VCR. So one of my favorite movies of all time, and I don't know if it's rated R, is Alien, the first Alien movie from '79.
Mhm.
I grew up watching this movie constantly, but it was the edited for TV version. Dad had recorded it off a TV. The way he recorded it, he accidentally recorded it on, you can adjust the quality so that the tape holds more time.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
recorded it on the wrong one and ran out of time. And so the tape cuts off. This is a spoiler alert for how this movie ends. If you haven't seen 1979's Alien, you're dead to me. About to spoil the ending. Right before she blows this thing out the airlock, it just fades to. So I grew up watching this movie regularly on a loop and never once saw the ending.
Oh, wow.
Every time we would watch it, we would get to that moment. It was right when she was climbing into the spacesuit, getting ready to fight this alien and blow it out the white screen. And our dad would go, and she blows it out the airlock. And now every time I see that movie, I hear him going, and then she blows it out the airlock. My experience of that movie or any of those movies that were recorded off of TV, like all the Indiana Jones movies were recorded off of TV, our copies of Star Wars. So I probably saw rated R movies just with the cuss words cut out, which doesn't really change the content.
Yeah, the rating system, mom didn't really care. We were allowed to watch whatever. But my mom was the kind that there was a soap opera called Santa Barbara that was going off the air, and I was in middle school or maybe a late elementary school for me, and my sister was in high school, and she let my sister have, like, 4 friends over, and we all stayed home from school that day and ordered pizza and watched the last episode of this soap opera. That's the kind of stuff mom did.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I never forgot it, though.
I had a friend, the only friend I had the whole time I was at Jellicoe, this just like random angel who didn't care that I was weird or creepy or whatever it was all the other kids that tortured me saw in me. She didn't give a fuck. And she was this just perfectly, I'm not going to say normal because nobody was normal at Jellicoe, but a popular girl, conventionally attractive, straight girl. And she was my best friend. And I don't know what I did to earn that, but was the difference for me between feeling like I could continue with life and just coming up with a way to escape so often. And so I would stay over at her house a lot. And her mom had this big TV room. This would have been the late 80s, early 90s. It was one of those like floor to ceiling projection TV things,
Yeah, we had one of those.
the foot deep speaker and woofer in the
Yep.
bottom of it. It was incredible. And then on the walls of this room were shelves, and the shelves were filled with every kind of movie that you could think of.
You're, like, literally describing my dad's room, my dad's man cave.
I had so many incredible experiences in that room, just staying the night over at her house. Like, we would stay in her room until her mom went to bed, and then we would go down the hallway. We were allowed to do it, wasn't spoken about, but her mom knew we were doing this, right? This was a small house. We would go down the hallway and we would put our Totino's pizzas into the oven and then go and pick out some crazy ass movie to watch that night, and then stay up until like 2 a.m. eating garbage food and watching stuff that I knew that I was born lucky to be able to have this in a life like the one I was living, to have this kind of escape, this kind of place to just be. And she just didn't care about how weird I was. She loved that I was smart and funny. And so the first one I remember, we picked this movie called The First Power, and I showed it to Eric and Sabrina when I was still living in Bowling Green, because I was like, you guys got to see this movie because it is fucking crazy. It's this Lou Diamond Phillips, I'm not going to say B movie because I don't really know what even that is in the realm of this kind of supernatural devil worship cult. And The First Power is the power of resurrection or something, but it is so like campy and ridiculous. And I just remember like my world became like 10 times larger that night. People will get a little like pearl clutchy and hand wringy about kids watching stuff and what people should be able to see. That is almost certainly my parents' nightmare. If they had found out, like that's the day they dreaded of me watching something like that. But it didn't make me want to go out and worship the devil. I have no idea. What does watching a shitty movie do to us? Like, what does it show us?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Listeners, tell us in the comments.
That's what reading did for me.
Yeah.
But I read a lot of Sweet Valley High and Christopher Pike novels and a lot of trash reading. But it feeds your brain just like everything else, you know what I mean? That's why I'm good at writing papers.
Vanessa read those Babysitter Clubs.
Yeah. I never got into that one. Yeah, my sister had a collection of Sweet Valley High, and that's how I started getting my hands on those. And then you could buy it used to be that they would have them right by the register at Kroger, and you could buy, like, a Christopher Pike novel right there as you were checking out, and I went through those. I would read one a night. Like, it'd be
Mm.
250 pages, and I'd read it that night.
I read whatever my mom got from the library. So she was constantly reading, and she loved reading horror novels. So she read a lot of Dean Koontz and Stephen King and what's his name? Cleve Barker. I think it's pronounced that. That's how I remember the first reading I did was actually some pretty fucked up Cleve Barker stuff. This is the guy who made Hellraiser and stuff.
Gotcha.
But I guess they weren't worried about that. Maybe they didn't realize I could read it. I would go through and find the sex parts and read it to the other kids. Maybe that's what the conservatives are afraid of,
Right?
that we're all going to sit around and read Dean Koontz to each other.
My first Stephen King book was when I was, like, 14.
What was it?
I wanna say The Dark Knight, but I don't think that's the right it was The Dark something. He was a writer, and he was obsessed with a certain kind of pencil.
The Dark Half.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I read that when my niece was being born, so I know exactly how old I was. I was 14. That was my first Stephen King.
They made a movie out of that one.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
It's hysterical.
Is it?
Well, my memory is sort of tainted by what we were doing when we watched it. It was there in Bowling Green, and Andy had come over, and me and I think Sabrina and Eric and Andy were in my apartment hanging out with trees. The particular trees that Andy had brought over were a kind that none of us had hung out with before. It really did us in. So there was like maybe 10 minutes into this movie, we all realized that we were just no longer on the same plane of existence. So I remember it being the most fun I've had watching a terrible Stephen King movie.
I watched The Stand. Have you ever watched The Stand, the
Oh, yeah.
miniseries? I watched that recently.
The first one?
The one that just came out, like, a couple of years ago with Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Yeah, I watched the first episode of that and I couldn't get into it. It's good, but there already was a miniseries of The Stand and it is campy and terrible. This was in the 90s and it stars like Molly Ringwald, Gary Sinise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, some other famous people. It's ridiculous and campy. It's pretty bad. And I had recently read that book. Let me Google when this came out so that I can paint a picture of what mental state I was in. 1994. So I was
16.
I was 12 when this aired. I had already read the book several times. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books. And so I was very excited for this to come. Oh, Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe plays Nick Andros in this.
Oh, wow.
Laura San Giacomo plays Nadine Cross. Had Ossie Davis in it. Miguel Ferrer. Matt Frewer played Trash Can Man. Kathy Bates is in it. Ed Harris. This was the 90s cast. So I was already a big fan of that. And when was it 2016 this came out? This other miniseries?
I think so, somewhere around there, yeah.
It was all, like, polished and respectable, and it was almost, like, good, and I wasn't interested in that.
Right.
Like, if I want good, I'll read the book. Maybe I should give it a chance and finish it.
It was pretty good. It was okay. I enjoyed it. Shanna doesn't like end of the world kind of stuff. It bothers her. So that's one of those I watched on my own, and I binged it, so.
I fucking love the apocalypse.
Have you ever watched Jericho?
Huh?
It's a TV show that there's a series of bombs that goes off, like nuclear bombs that go off across the country, and the aftermath. It's pretty good.
Skeet Ulrich, are you kidding? Wow.
Yeah.
All right, sign me up.
He plays Jake.
I recently started watching Station 11.
Station 19.
No, I don't know what that is. This one is a TV show about a plague, a flu or something that kills everybody.
Ah, gotcha.
And it's interesting because the survivors that we follow are like Shakespearean actors. Like these people survive the apocalypse and create an acting troupe. I'm just like, I'm living for, right? That is just so fucking queer.
The Station 19 is about a firehouse, and it's the gayest TV show I've ever seen.
Whoa. Listeners, I hope you're making lists.
It's in the vein of like Grey's Anatomy kind of drama, but it's literally the gayest.
Haven't heard of it. Don't know any of these people. Oh, it's on Hulu. We got to cancel now.
Yeah. I'm over the Jimmy Kimmel thing. I watch his monologue like every morning.
Yeah, that's sad. He'll be fine. Whatever, we don't need to be like crying over Jimmy Fallon or whatever his name is, Jimmy Kimmel, but it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
the dominoes of media and information and our rights to say and know the truth just keep falling. And I keep going like, what the fuck does that leave? Does that leave us? Does it leave podcasts? Like, who is
Right?
untouchable besides us? Well, I took all of this uninteresting and used things off of the wheel of what have you. So we're down to 4 things.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, sorry, 3 things. So, listeners, we will put some more things on here, but we are in need of your recommendations for Wheel of What Have You. You can tell us about it on Facebook. You can comment on Spotify or YouTube using the comments on the episode feature, or you can send us an email. So, I'm going to spin this and see what it gives us. Well, we were kind of already headed on this topic. We have landed on queer representation.
Queer representation.
Yeah. Anytime I do this, I always want to try to think back to what the first I saw was, like the first gay or lesbian or trans or bi person I saw on TV or in a movie.
Yeah, I think I've already told this story, but I was watching a news magazine like 2020 or something like that, and they were doing a story about a lesbian, and I didn't know what that was, but then she put on lipstick and she kissed her partner, and I was like, "Here's some lipstick for you," and I was floored. I had no idea, no idea, and I was very interested in it.
So, like, literally on the news, you saw.
Yeah,
I think I also told a story of how a family friend suggested I rent the Wachowskis Bound and watch it, and he neglected to tell me that I should not watch it with my parents. I don't know if that was my first, like, seeing a queer person on TV. You know what? I watched a lot of Star Trek, and this may not be the first one, but Star Trek Deep Space Nine had a lesbian kiss.
that went back at least to like the Roseanne days when she kissed, who did Roseanne? She's famous. Hemingway, Muriel Hemingway is who she kissed.
Let me Google it and see. Not that I haven't Googled this before. So they'll credit it. If you Google this, it'll say like the first lesbian kiss is on an episode of LA Law. There's one on 21 Jump Street. People have a hard time pinning down what this actually goes to because there are different ways to qualify what this is. So like daytime television didn't happen until 2003, which is funny because everybody says daytime TV is the trashiest.
Right? When was the LA Law?
91.
I wonder when the first male kiss was. Much later, I'm sure.
So this one is qualified with the first passionate male gay kiss because so many of them have happened or they're played for laughs is on Dawson's Creek.
Oh, wow. So that was the 90s.
2000, but I didn't watch Dawson's Creek. Real World had a lot of queerness on it.
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing there was an episode or a season of The Real World early on that had a lesbian named Genesis on it. And she got kind of a famous like talk show round out of that. And that was the first time I learned about gay culture, like that there were places gay people hung out together. I learned about the rainbow flag from that. It hadn't occurred to me what a lonely experience being a queer person was going to be the rest of my life. And this to me was just like crashing revelation after revelation. I was like, oh my God, they know each other and they hang out with each other and like have shared culture. I don't know if I yet considered myself as someone who would one day have or want access to that. I mean, I always knew I was queer, but being in Appalachia, you don't think of yourself as ever being invited into majority spaces in general. It's not the queerness that precluded me from that.
I also remember when I was about 14, or I was definitely 14, because it around again was when my niece was born. My sister was living in this apartment in this particular neighborhood, and her upstairs neighbors were 2 gay guys named Tom and Tom, and one of them was a drag queen. And when they were moving, out came these racks of just gowns and sequins, and I was like my eyes were just wide. I was like, "What? What?" Because that was the first time I had considered men of wearing women's clothing, you know what I mean? But I thought it was so cool even back then.
Do you remember or did you ever see the episode of All in the Family they used the word transvestite, I think, because this was the 70s, so that would have been the appropriate
The
term.
parlance, yeah.
All in the Family it needs to be studied, and it has been studied, but it needs to be like revisited, right? We need to be talking about All in the Family and like the work it was doing in a popular culture milieu along equity and acceptance and things like that. Because the way that show did it was funny, but it was like not letting anybody off the hook. Archie Bunker is this caricature of a bigoted white American man. He says ridiculous things all the time. Norman Lear would use Archie Bunker to say the truth of how American society views blackness or queerness or immigrants. He would say all of the things that proper white people knew better than to say out loud. Archie was saying the quiet parts out loud. And so there's an episode where he meets a drag queen who I think maybe has suffered a medical event. I forget how this comes about, but he has to give her mouth to mouth. He has to give her CPR. And then hilarity ensues when he realizes that he has locked lips with a man. And so the episode plays with the gay panic. He goes on. For him, it's all about what does this say about me? And did anybody see it? And am I gay now or whatever? But this fucking episode, man, he gets gay bashed and murdered in the neighborhood. This drag queen does. And the ending is Edith, who curses God and renounces her religion because she won't keep faith with a God that sets things up this way. Designing Women and the Golden Girls all had really specific and plain spoken messaging around this, but it was all swept away, rolled back, or whatever by the rhetoric regarding HIV/AIDS. The second half of the 80s and into the 90s were dominated by scapegoating homophobia.
Mm-hmm. And B. Arthur, when she died, Dorothy from the Golden Girls, when she died, she left a small fortune to a charity group that has a homeless shelter for LGBTQ youth, which I thought was really interesting. She was an ally to the end.
And I'll always say this, like film and television, they're the mythology of our time.
Right.
And that's neither, I don't care if you think that's good or bad. That's not the point. We can't simply opt out of the fact that that's where our information comes from.
Yeah. For a lot of people, it really does.
Yeah, a lot of people were raised by the television, especially where we're from.
Yeah, for sure.
It was that or some like cracked out babysitter that was going to leave you in the car while they went to score drugs.
My mom was a big gambler, and she would take us, like me, because my brother was living with my dad and my sister was already out of the house. There was a gas station called the Plateau in Waverly, Ohio. They had a couple of video poker machines, and she would sit there and play and play and play. And I would sit out in the car and read, and I would just wander in every once in a while and ask for a cheeseburger and then wander back out. And I think about that a lot, about how dangerous it was, me sitting in like a truck stop in a car in the 80s when there was not a lot of car security. There were definitely no car alarms, I was just very vulnerable out there in that parking lot. I think about addictions and the way that they make people do things they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, there's so many things I would take back. That's the thing is like plenty of people have regrets, but something about addiction makes we assign a stigma to it that doesn't give that person a lot of breathing room for examining what happened to them in that situation. The way we talk about recovery and stuff, we put all of this like, they have to make amends. They have to go around and bother everybody in their life and bring it all up again and say, I need to apologize to you for something I did 30 years ago. Neither of us is going to get anything out of it, but I have to check this off a fucking list. I don't know how we got there from gay representation on TV.
We wander.
One day, I don't know. I don't think this would be good for us. One day we're going to like actually prepare before an episode and then it's just going to be boring as fuck. We could read the news.
Sounds like fun. Not.
Did anybody in school, like anybody talk about queer people like in an educational context?
No. I went to school in the 90s and you just did not talk about people being queer. It was just not a subject that came up back then unless you were calling them a fag, When I got to college, I took a social deviance class in sociology, and the professor was great. And we had class twice a week, and she would bring in like opposing viewpoints on different topics. When it was abortion, she brought in somebody that was pro-life and somebody that was pro-choice, and they both spoke to us and gave their sides of the story. And she had I don't know if it was a trans woman or a drag queen or how they identified, because that language wasn't really out there yet. But she came in and talked to us about being queer and living as a woman, and I found that fascinating. That was the first time I had been exposed to that. And that would have been my freshman year before I came out.
I didn't learn about trans people until I was 26, I think, and saw a documentary from the UK about a trans man. And I was like, oh my God, it's possible. When I started transitioning 10 years later, that was a long 10 years.
I bet.
Finding out something's possible and then going like, well, not for me though. It's kind of like it's easy to give somebody else good advice, but it's hard to take it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if learning about it any earlier would have helped me or not. Probably just wouldn't have been longer that I had to wait.
I think you have to be ready for it. You know what I mean? It's like when I went to college the first time, I failed out completely. I just didn't go to class ever, except the social deviance class. I found that fascinating, so I went to that. I just never went to class, and my friends are still shocked that I'm a professor now. But I wasn't ready for school the first time I went. I was ready the second time. And I just think there's some things in life you just have to be prepared for. And sometimes that's not as you're not as ready as quickly as you think you are.
Oh, college is that's such a specific skill set, and it comes naturally to nobody. And the people of our generation who would have been given the skills to do it or the knowledge, they weren't coming from our tax bracket
Right.
or from our location. So the fact that we did it at all is pretty baller.
Yeah. My parents didn't even graduate from high school. Neither did my sister or brother.
I think we don't realize that childhood is a really recent invention. Our generation's parents had the first childhood in America. Before that, it was out of sight, out of mind until you're old enough to work. Whatever happened to you didn't matter. You could be abused, starved, you could be killed. If you died, then it was just God's will. There was no thought given to curating a life or experiences or opportunities or developmental, things for kids until very recently. And the fact that we survived, that people are out here even growing into well-adjusted, happy, good people is kind of a miracle. We're still so terrible at taking care of ourselves and each other in the most formative parts of our lives. So it's not shocking that America's as fucked up as it is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Got a bunch of fucking babies out here trying to run the country. Oh, maybe it's time for this week's sponsor, which I have already forgotten what it is because it's been a long, weird day. Oh, okay. So this week's episode of Queernecks is brought to you by Roosters, nature's alarm clock, except you can't hit snooze and they don't actually know what time it is. You'll wake up at 3 a.m., 5 a.m., anytime you're trying to sleep. Barnyard divas, they strut around like they own the place, chest puffed out, feathers shining like sequins, screaming about nothing. Need a bird that will fight its own reflection, chase your grandma's laundry off the line, and keep the whole holler talking? Get yourself a rooster. They don't lay eggs, they don't pay rent, but honey, they bring drama. The rooster's rockabilly drag king swagger is legendary. That red comb pompadour looks sculpted with axle grease, strutting like Elvis could never. They hit that fence post every morning like it's a stage in Memphis, side-eyeing the hens like backup dancers. And for every queer kid growing up in the sticks, that rooster strutting across the yard was the first loud and unapologetic camp performance we ever saw. So next time you hear that ungodly screech slicing through the misty morning air, remember, it's not just rural timekeeping, that's performance. And the next time that rooster wakes you up at 3 a.m., don't get mad, tip your hat. You just got a front row seat to the drag show of your dreams that you didn't even know you bought tickets for. This week's episode is sponsored by Roosters. You say rooster or rooster?
Rooster. My grandparents kept chickens.
Oh, really?
Once in a while, you'd come up the hill and one would like cross right in front of you. One would get out or whatever. So you'd have wild chickens running around. That happened more than once.
I like when they'll stop and look at you and like stomp a foot, and you're like, what's going to happen next? Am I going to be attacked by a tiny dinosaur?
They have attitudes for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Polish chicken?
No.
Google it right now. It's the
Okay.
David Bowie of chickens.
Oh my God. It's more than just this incredible hairdo. It's the color variation in the feathers.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And it's somewhere between hungover and stylish.
Yeah. I'll feature them in the newsletter this week so our listeners can see a Polish chicken in all its glory.
There were chickens at that farm that we spent a lot of time at, but I don't know shit about them. I'm not a farm kid. Like, we spent a lot of time around and stuff, but I didn't know anything about it. I just did what I was told.
You want to do our noun of Appalachian interest?
Why, yes.
All right. This week's noun of Appalachian interest is the beloved Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew isn't just a beverage, it's liquid Appalachia. It's the nectar of the hills. The original formula was invented right here in the mountains by two guys who were just trying to make their whiskey taste better, and honestly, it worked. Somewhere along the way, somebody said, "Hey, what if we drank this without the moonshine?" And the rest is dental history. The stuff is so woven into the culture that in certain gas stations, the Pepsi machine only has two buttons, Mountain Dew and Other. It's the drink that you have at breakfast, lunch, dinner, and if you're doing it right, while leaning on the tailgate of a pickup in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot. Mountain Dew has been powering Appalachian life for generations, helping folks shingle roofs, build fences, and stay awake long enough to fry an entire deer in the middle of the night. There's no wrong time for Dew. Baby shower? Dew. Funeral? Dew. Got baptized in the river this morning? Well, you'll be doing the do by supper. It's got more sugar than a county fair funnel cake and more caffeine than your grandma's gossip, and it will make you believe that you can jump the creek in your four-wheeler. You probably can't, but Mountain Dew will convince you otherwise. In short, it's not just a drink, it's the unofficial fuel of the Appalachian spirit.
I had no idea it was actually from Appalachia. I knew that it was the lifeblood that ran through our veins.
Have you ever heard of Mountain Dew mouth? It's something that happens a lot
Yeah.
in Appalachia where people put like Mountain Dew in their baby bottles and you get bad teeth. It's a total thing. You can Google Mountain Dew mouth and it's sad.
Yeah. I remember one night that I drank 2 Mountain Dews. I was like 18 and I had just gone to college, and I drank 2 Mountain Dews in a row pretty quickly while I was watching South Park with some friends or something. And I got back to my room and laid down to try to go to sleep, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And my heart was like, and I was like, I have to go run a marathon or something. What was happening to me? I have not done that since.
I was a Mountain Dew junkie and then I quit about 15 years ago now. I gave it up cold turkey. That was harder than quitting smoking. Quitting Mountain Dew was so difficult.
Well, it's a lot of sugar.
And there's no patch for it.
I knew a kid who would drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew in the morning before school. He was on the academic team with us, and he acted like that. He acted exactly like the kind of person who does some shit like that. His idol was Cosmo Kramer.
Ah,
It's strange.
that says a lot right there. Yeah, my aunt, that was her drink of choice. I was one of the babies that got the Mountain Dew in the baby bottle back then. A couple of my aunts were really obsessed with it. I've got a cousin that still drinks it like it's water. I don't know what the rest of them do, but at least one of them drinks it like it's water. The only time that I ever drink Mountain Dew, Shannon will get one if we get Taco Bell. And if you're eating Taco Bell, you need at least one swig of Mountain Dew. So I get that every once in a while. Or if I go to Tudor's Biscuit World, that's the other time that Mountain Dew is okay. The rest of the time, I'm mostly a water or sugar-free Red Bull drinker.
I think you got to start on it young, because anytime I try to have something like that now, I'm sick. It's too much sugar. It's delicious, right? It's decadent.
I learned something this week about soda. Pepsi, did you know that they, when they were starting the company, when they first started like advertising, they specifically advertised in Black neighborhoods and Black communities 4-to-1. Their advertising dollars were 4-to-1 to Black neighborhoods versus white neighborhoods. And it became kind of a racial thing. Black people drank Pepsi and white people drank Coke until they realized that they were missing out on entire audiences or consumer bases, right? And they kind of expanded it. But Pepsi was originally known culturally as a Black drink.
Interesting. Did the place you learned this say any more about why?
Because Pepsi, that's the market share that they honed in on. They even had a specific, it said they had a specific department that was for getting into Black communities and advertising specifically to Black communities.
And then by the 1940s, Joan Crawford is flogging it everywhere because she was married to the CEO of Pepsi or whatever.
Right.
By the time I started to like notice Mountain Dew, it was when they had really gone into that like extreme sports type of marketing.
Do the do.
Mm-hmm. We used to film parody skits of that when we were hanging out in the AV club in high school. We would just like film someone doing something really, really normal and then throw a pop can at them, and they would say, "Do the do." We thought we were hysterical.
Yeah, the 90s were such a different time.
Yeah.
I forget that these kids, like, that when you're teaching or whatever, that they have no idea about life without cell phones in them. They just can't even imagine it. That was our whole world. It's just wild to me that there's kids alive that can't even fathom life without a smartphone in their hand.
Yeah. In fairness, though, I don't know what I would do without my cell phone now.
Right?
I get a lot done with it, like only because of it. We have totally reordered society around them. You know, they provide a lot, and maybe there's some things that they do worse.
Yeah, there's a cost for everything, you know?
That's true. There's a trade-off for anything you try to do better or faster or smarter or whatever. Somewhere is being compromised.
For sure.
Well, let's talk about like this Halloween party idea.
Okay.
We've been wanting to do something where we have a watch party of Curse of the Queer Wolf, because Beck discovered that it is available for streaming on a certain free app that works with Teleparty. So we can use Teleparty, and all of us can get together and just log in separately on this free app using this Teleparty link and then we can get in the chat and watch the movie together. And then maybe we can react live to it or something like that later. I'm not sure. Still fleshing it out. But I think that we're just going to go ahead and do that because it would be fun for us to do. And then we're just going to put it out there that y'all are invited. But to make it so that if somebody wants to come and harass us, they'll at least have to give us $1 first. I'm setting up a coffee for Queernecks. So coffee is like Patreon, but we get to set our own terms. And once you register for the coffee, you're added to the Discord server, or you can opt out if you want to, but you'll be invited to the Discord server, and then we can all just hang out in there together and watch the movie. We could also do other stuff. I mean, I'm still learning about Discord, but y'all can something I used to do is like, there's a whiteboard feature in there. We could play Pictionary. I was thinking it would be funny if like me and you try to play Pictionary at each other, but the chat has to do wrong answers only. Because I am so bad at drawing. The most fun, I learned I have this like kind of humor superpower, which is just have people watch me try to play Pictionary. It's dreadful.
I had 3 semesters of drawing as an undergrad, and I still can't draw. So.
I also took drawing.
It was required for my information technology degree because, you draw so many websites.
Yeah, right. From hand.
Yeah, I would have thought that it would have been more important to do like photography or digital editing or, something like that. I took those classes anyway because I thought they would be important, but they weren't required. It was drawing all the way.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of games we could play in there too. So pretty soon you'll see me circulate. Once I figure this out, it's not fully even set up yet because I don't know what I'm doing, but there'll be something about how to join the coffee, and I'll set it up so that you can give us $1 if that's all you got, or you can give us 10 if you feel like giving us more, but there'll be no difference in the tiers. It's literally the same thing. Just one tier is giving us more money than the other.
Sounds like a good time to me. I wish you could see my dog right now. She's laying totally on her back in the middle of a pillow with all 4 of her feet in the air, passed out.
Take a picture with your phone, and that we'll use that as the show art for this episode.
I don't know if I'll be able to get a good one. It's dark in here.
You don't have flash?
I do, but I don't like using flash.
It can be a bit much.
I'm a photographer. I'm very particular about the way things look.
Well, yeah, you got to get you a lighting rig so we can start doing, fuck it, we'll do it live.
I already have one where I do photo shoots sometimes. I've had one for a couple of years.
Oh, listeners, you're about to get an eye full of us. Maybe. We haven't decided yet.
Yeah, and I can teach you how to make a softbox out of a garbage bag and a box. It's very easy.
All right, let's make a home studio.
Yeah, save you $50 on a softbox.
Well, thanks for listening to another week on Queernecks. You can hear us. We just recorded an episode for Lee over at his show Translucent. We'll let you know when he gets that out there. It's always good to see him again. And maybe he'll be watching Queer Wolf with us.
That would be great.
And remember to review the show, rate the show wherever you listen. That helps us out a lot. Share if you enjoyed something on your Facebooks or wherever you are online. And let us know if you have a silly story to tell.
Our email address is mailbag@queernecks.com.
Love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time. Stay, I was going to say stay frosty, but I've never said that before in my life. All right, well. We'll see y'all next time. Say hi to your mom and them.
Bye.